It started with a dull ache. Jana, always the calm and capable one, ignored it at first. She'd been feeling a little dizzy for a few days, chalking it up to stress and exhaustion. Between her home projects, community work, and life with her husband, Stephen Wisman, she'd been pushing herself hard. But as she reached for a cup of tea that morning, the world spun. The mug slipped from her fingers and shattered on the floor. "Jana?" Stephen called from the living room, his voice carrying a note of concern. When she didn't answer, he rushed in and froze. Jana was pale, gripping the counter, her breathing unsteady. "Something's not right," she whispered, her voice trembling. Stephen caught her just as her knees buckled. His heart raced as he lowered her carefully to the floor. "Jana, look at me, sweetheart. Stay with me." A rush against time. Within minutes, Stephen had her in the car, one arm around her shoulders, the other gripping the steering wheel as he sped down the long country road toward the nearest hospital. Jana's eyes fluttered open weakly. "Please don't cry," she murmured, noticing the tears already forming in his eyes. "I'm not crying," he said, though his voice cracked. "You're going to be fine, I promise." He prayed aloud as he drove, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. "Lord, please, please don't let anything happen to her." By the time they reached the hospital, Stephen's shirt was soaked in sweat, part fear, part adrenaline. Nurses rushed forward as soon as they saw him carrying Jana in his arms. "She collapsed. She's dizzy, weak. She hasn't eaten much in days," he explained breathlessly. They placed her on a gurney and rolled her into an emergency room, the automatic doors closing between them with a mechanical hiss. Stephen was left standing in the hallway, his hands trembling. For a man who had always seemed unshakable, the sight of his wife in distress broke something deep inside him. The waiting. Hours felt like days. Stephen sat in the sterile waiting room, his head buried in his hands. Around him, the hospital buzzed with quiet urgency, the sound of wheels on tile, murmured voices, the faint beeping of monitors behind closed doors. He couldn't stop replaying the moment she collapsed, the fear in her eyes, the helplessness he felt. At one point, he pulled out his phone and sent a message to Jana's family group chat. "Jana's in the hospital. She fainted. Please pray." Within minutes, replies flooded in, Michelle asking which hospital, Joy saying she was on her way, Jessa sending hearts and prayer emojis. Even Jim Bob called directly, his fatherly voice shaking as he said, "We're all praying, son. God's got this." The diagnosis. When Dr. Marshall finally emerged, Stephen jumped to his feet. "She's stable now," the doctor said calmly. "We're running a few more tests, but it looks like severe exhaustion, dehydration, and low blood pressure. It's a combination we see often in people who don't take enough time to rest." Stephen exhaled deeply, relief washing over him so fast that his knees nearly gave out. "So, she's going to be okay?" he asked. "With rest, yes," the doctor nodded. "But she's been pushing herself too hard. Her body simply said, 'Enough.'" Tears of relief. When Stephen entered Jana's hospital room, the sight hit him like a wave. Her small frame against the white sheets, an IV in her arm, her eyes closed but peaceful. He sat beside her bed, taking her hand in both of his. "You scared me half to death," he whispered. Jana opened her eyes slightly and smiled weakly. "You always worry too much." "Not enough, apparently," he said, brushing a strand of hair from her face. His eyes shimmered with tears he didn't bother hiding this time. "I thought you lost me for a second." "You'll never lose me. I just need to learn how to slow down." He nodded, pressing her hand to his lips. "From now on, you're resting. No arguing." Family rushes in. The hospital room soon filled with familiar faces. Michelle Duggar arrived first, her motherly worry written across her face. She immediately went to her daughter's side, gently rubbing her arm. "Oh, honey, you gave us all a scare," she said softly. Behind her came Joy, Jessa, and Jell, each carrying flowers, snacks, and enough energy to fill the room with warmth. "Leave it to Janet to make the whole family panic," Jessa joked lightly, trying to ease the tension. Even amid laughter and chatter, Stephen stayed close to Jana, his hand never leaving hers. When the others weren't looking, he whispered a quiet thank you prayer under his breath. Reflection and recovery. Over the next 2 days, Jana slowly regained her strength. She smiled more, her color returned, and by the time she was discharged from the hospital, she looked almost like herself again, though a little more fragile. As Stephen wheeled her out of the hospital, the crisp autumn air greeted them. She looked out at the sky, the golden leaves drifting across the parking lot, and sighed. "I think God's trying to tell me something," she said quietly. Stephen smiled. "Probably that even you need a break sometimes." She chuckled softly. "I guess I've been too focused on doing everything for everyone else." He stopped walking and looked into her eyes. "You don't have to carry the world, Jana. Just live it with me." Her eyes welled with tears as she nodded. "Deal." Back home, a new beginning. When they returned home, Jana found a dozen handwritten notes taped to the front door from siblings, nieces, nephews, and friends. Each one carried a simple message of love and prayers for healing. Inside, Stephen had transformed the house. Candles glowed softly, a pot of soup simmered on the stove, and her favorite blanket waited on the couch. "You didn't have to do all this," she said, touched. He smiled. "I know, but I wanted to remind you that you deserve care too." That evening, they sat together watching the sunset from the porch. For once, Jana didn't think about chores, schedules, or plans. She simply rested her head on Stephen's shoulder, grateful for the man who refused to leave her side when everything fell apart. A gentle reminder. Later that night, she posted a quiet update to her followers. Not dramatic, not detailed, but honest. "This week reminded me how fragile we all are. Sometimes we try to do it all and forget to take care of ourselves. I'm so thankful for my husband, my family, and the prayers that carried me through the ordeal. God's grace is so real, especially when we're weak." The comment section overflowed with love, prayers, and admiration. Fans praised her strength, Stephen's devotion, and the couple's faith through the ordeal. As Jana read through them, she turned to Stephen with a smile. "I think the scare might have been a blessing in disguise." He kissed her forehead softly. "If it reminds you to slow down and breathe, then yes, it was." Outside, the night air was calm again. Stars scattered like blessings across the sky. And inside their little home, peace had returned, stronger, deeper, and more grateful than before.